Hello and welcome to the Genelec Artist Series. This is Paul Stewart. I am with Peter Moore. Your band here today was fantastic. Just an amazing sound.
Thank you so much for having us. This was a real honor to get to come play here and to be in touch with you, over the last few years. And, we were just up here doing a couple of shows in the Northeast, and to get to stop through, Genelec's, it's like every studio has to have a pair of Genelecs,
That's how we met. Well, we met at Solid Sound, right? We met at a festival.
That's right. Yeah.
And you have friends that were playing there, of course.
Yeah.
And then, of course, your Genelecs needed to get repaired. I think we had a little bit of service talk.
Oh, yeah.
But we talked about doing this for a while, so it was great to finally have you in and give us a treat and to work with your band. Man, just to talk about that for a second. So I was talking to your bass player. He's from Philly. You've got your percussionist in Miami. You're in Austin. Like, how does this all come together like that? How does this happen to you, Peter?
That to me is sort of the most fun part about playing music, is getting to sort of meet people along the way. And Jose, who is playing the nylon guitar, is sort of, I would say, sort of has been my rock through the years, because I actually met Jose in Spain when I was studying abroad in college in Madrid, and it was I think 2006 or something like that. And I was looking for, I don't know, a nylon flamenco guitar, and was thinking, maybe I'd take some lessons. And then I met Jose, and I realized taking flamenco lessons is probably that is a whole world that we never even got into. We started looking at it, but Jose, I don't know, he grew up learning everything from old Simon and Garfunkel songs to, Dire Straits, to all sorts of different stuff.
Interesting.
So yeah, we started playing together. I just was, studying with him while I was there, and I didn't think I'd see him again. So it's kind of crazy to have him in our band years later. It was like 5-6 years later. I was living in San Miguel in Mexico, and he called about coming to Mexico. He was playing with a guy from Puerto Rico, and they came down, and he was supposed to stay 10 days. He ended up staying, well, I guess 11 years now.
11 years.
Yeah, we spent the whole summer, and then I went with them to Puerto Rico, and then he came back. We started playing in Mexico and Brazil, and then Denise, we met in Cuba in 2019. Denise is from Manzanillo, Cuba. We met him in Havana. It was sort of the 500th anniversary of Havana. It was like a Biennale festival that we went and played. And then Olivia, I met out in Martha's Vineyard, and through a great friend of ours, Gogo and Dave, great couple out there that I met in San Miguel. And then Jaron, I just met recently in the last year.
So crazy.
And I just told you that Jaron was coming yesterday.
Yeah, just yesterday. But I think so multicultural, and this is sort of your music has that. I mean, you can hear all kinds of different things going on. So it's only natural that you're bringing in. Is that how it sort of happens to you? And what inspires you to write music? Do you feel like it's coming from different places like that?
Yeah, well, I think part of it, for me is we were talking a minute ago about, I don't know, playing soccer. Like growing up, it was having a team is so fun. So it's sort of like trying to figure out, I don't know, people through the years that I think everyone that we play with is sort of open to any idea or changing an arrangement. And so some of the stuff we did today is very different than the way we recorded it. But it's like, I don't know, it's, sometimes when you play it live, you want to sort of switch it up a little bit. And it's cool because, it's like Denise will have I don't know, like an Afro-Cuban beat or something, or like a different, and he and Jose, with their sort of background of shared, everything from, what they've played through because Jose lived in Puerto Rico for a long time. So it's always fun, the van rides, whenever we're going to go play different shows, sort of always learning new music, off of their playlists, or oh man, have you heard this? And I think that ends up sort of inspiring ideas. And we lived in Mexico for a while,
Wow.
and in Brazil, so I don't think it was intentional. I think it just sort of ended up.
I think this is what's so cool. It's like it's the balance between. A lot of people today have recording studios and they just record and they're recording from home, but that part of being out on the road or being musically wrapped around different cultures and participating in that in a way, being out there. I think that's an inspiration, and it comes back to the studio in a different way, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I don't know, the studio for me is always my favorite place, just in terms of in music. I always just love, I don't know, those moments when you're in the studio and something sort of comes together, and maybe it wasn't that way when you wrote it, or but I think a lot of what can, I don't know, influence the way you end up recording it is going and playing it, and playing it live with different people, and then people have different ideas. So, the sort of evolves, and it's, I think, for me as a listener, I always love when an artist has, like, I don't know, a few different versions of something, and with different lineups, and we met at Solid Sound. I feel like Wilco's a great example of
very good example of that. And I was talking about that end of the that after dinner where they're in the chapel and the chimes and everything going.
Yeah.
So amazing, and that just like that inspiration, how they feed off each other.
Yeah.
I could see that with you guys, the way you're working. Especially as you say, like your bass player just came into the session.
Well, and I mean, we were just cutting across, Massachusetts to try to make it, and we were very excited to get to do this, but then two of the guys were flying out tonight, so it's like, it was very cool that Jaron ended up being able to come, because also it was cool that he brought his accordion. I never get to play like an accordion
that
player,
fits so well.
Oh,
that's
good,
great.
Cool.
Yeah, and the other thing that kind of got us into working on this was your Genelecs. You have a vintage pair of 1031s, I believe.
Yes, 1031s, and on the back, I looked recently, it says Hollywood Studios or something.
So,
and I remember when we called you, I kept your number, and I remember talking to George Chapman, who's, I had met. He's one of my best friends, but he's amazing sound guy, and he said, we should have some good monitors. And from, I don't know, my experience working with, because I met George through Donald Fagen when we were working together, and he was Donald's monitor guy, and so Donald and Pat Dillett, who we mixed a bunch of stuff in New York. It was always like, all right, we got the Genelecs, and then I was telling you the story about the Donalecs, which are like a different pair of speakers that Donald has had from back in the day, but he's had them for so long that he can always like check the mix and know it needs a little more bass or a little bit. But we were trying to figure out some monitors, and so that's when I think I called you. I found your number, and I was like, oh man, I gotta call Paul and see if this is a good idea, or if I should get new ones, or if and I remember, I don't know if you knew when they were, I don't know, when the the studio got them, or somehow you vetted them in a way, and we got them, and as I told you, the only curse is you almost don't want to listen to music otherwise, because the Genelecs always sound so good that it's always, I don't know, it's you can hear all the details of whatever you're recording, and so I love those 1031s. Those are amazing.
That's pretty cool. We appreciate you sticking with us and all that, and obviously this is more about you than us having you here. It's been so cool getting to know you, and we've gotten to know each other through music, which is the coolest part of it all. I've seen you now a couple of times at the festivals, and there's always different acts, different artists, and just, it's a great festival. If anybody's interested,
festival.
Solid Sound, which is out in North Adams, Massachusetts. It's every other year, hosted by Mass Mocha,
and
run
Wilco.
And Wilco, of course, and all these bands that they bring in. And
such a cool festival.
Yeah.
It's so great. Yeah.
But you just played over there at
We played at Tourist,
At Tourist.
which I think is affiliated with Mass
Yeah,
Mocha
yeah.
and John, the bass player, and Eric, who had us. He invited us to come play last night, which was super fun. It was the end of an art fair that they were hosting there, and it was it was beautiful. I love that place so much. That whole, Massachusetts, so
It's an art
great.
vibe there.
Yeah.
You can't deny that.
Absolutely.
So you've got a few projects. I know we got this vinyl here, which is nicely weighted, by the way. It's not a lightweight vinyl. And what would you say is you've got three?
So this was the album we worked on with Donald Fagen, who produced it, and we met Donald and Libby, his wife, down in San Miguel.
Oh,
and
okay.
And yeah, they had I guess our bassist sent them. We were getting ready to go to Brazil, and they asked to hear some music, so they heard it and invited us to come jam on New Year's Eve, and then it sort of grew into this friendship, and they had us come up to Woodstock, and then Donald ended up asking if we wanted some help in the studio producing something.
Do you realize what you were just? Do you see what you were just saying? Yeah.
Well,
we met and we played New Year's Eve.
Well, it was so funny because it was a very random happenstance, sort of in the middle of Mexico too. Which San Miguel is a beautiful sort of artisan town that I think attracts a lot of people from around the world, and I'm very grateful for growing up going there. My grandmother built a house there in the 50s, and so I grew up going there. But it was so cool to meet Donald and Libby, and Libby was such a big part of it too. Miss her so much.
Yeah, I know.
But yeah, it was that was a life-changing sort of, and for all like Jose and I and the guys we were playing with, it was a very cool experience, because then we finished the record up in Woodstock and in New York, and I think a lot of that sort of led to even being here. Sort of been a cool thing, because that's how I met Glenn as well. It's very, the music world is a very as you know, it's like it's smaller than you think it is.
And there's a lot of full circle moments that can happen, and that's kind of like where we are.
Yeah,
right?
absolutely,
dude. I'm so psyched to have you here. You got a lot of music out there. We'll have links to everything, and hopefully everybody's going to enjoy what we're putting out there.
Yeah, and I'll send you some of the new stuff. We played I think one of the new tracks that we'll be putting out soon, but there's some different stuff we've been working on, actually not far from here in Martha's Vineyard, with John Forté. Yeah. Who worked with the Fugees and is a dear friend of mine that we've been working on a really fun project. And then he brought me into actually a film that just premiered. That was actually the reason we had the idea to come up here when I called you a few weeks ago. It was premiering at Tribeca Tribeca Film Festival, and it was a really, really beautiful film about Jack Kerouac, and it's called Beat of a Nation, Kerouac's Road. And so John had asked me to maybe write something for the film, and so that song is probably the song we'll put out first coming up, and then John and I are working on a different sort of project that he's been producing, and then I don't know. I was telling you about the other film stuff that I did with Bone Burnett down in Nashville, which was a song called "The Town That Time Forgot" that T-Bone also recorded on his recent album. Which, have you heard that album, by the way?
I have.
That album is amazing. Yeah. It's called The Other Side. Yeah, it's a beautiful album that he just released this last year, and so we've been working on that, and then the stuff with the Genelecs we have back in Austin. We just
keep working, man.
Home recording, just George and I out there at the lake, and so I'll keep you posted on the different stuff.
I'm gonna come and visit you, but certainly in Mexico for your birthday. I gotta
you gotta come down. You gotta come down.
I gotta do it.
That'd be awesome.
Peter, thank you again.
Thank you so much, Paul. Thank you for having us. We had such a good time. All the guys that were like, man, this was so incredible to end our little run up here in the Northeast to get to come here, and yeah, it was very special.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, you put us all through the test, and we appreciate it, right? Right, Eric?
Yeah, sorry, we had so many elements. You were like, oh, you just bring in an acoustic guitar. I was like, when 4 people, accordion, percussion. But thank you all for accommodating
our pleasure,
us
man, our
and
pleasure.
having us.